problem. I want to add in here this.
All right. All right, there we go. Oh, man. Tech stuff, anytime I involve, like, one other person on stream always stresses me out. But we should be good at this point.
There you go. Yeah,
All
show me
right,
Streamlabs.
We're finally here. A little bit later than usual, but that's because we got a very special guest today. Everybody knows
Yes,
Jay
sir.
at this point, right? Pretty sure everybody in my chat knows Jay. All
They
right.
should.
Jay does not need to shout himself out, but if you want to check out his channel, we just did a stream at JD Legend. Channel JD Legend. I had it pinned at the top of the chat if you guys want to check that out. So we're just coming off a stream talking about, what? One Piece community, Hunter x Hunter, generally some discussion about Wano and the way things have changed a little bit. But, you know, we're past that arc at this point. So let me ask you,
Yes,
how
we are.
honest feelings, right? You don't have to filter or anything like that. How did you feel between Wano to Egghead and now Egghead to Elbaf? Like, what's your temperature on the series so far? Are you feeling good about it? You feel like there was positive progression for you? Do you feel like there's still stuff that's kind of missing? Or in general, what's your take on One Piece so far between Wano, Egghead to Elbaf?
So from Wano, I wasn't too excited going out of it just because I left Wano kind of underwhelmed.
Yeah.
Going into Egghead was nice to see, but it was just okay. You know, was it just my frustration just with Wano, or is my frustration with is it with Oda? And getting into Egghead and then seeing him, you know, bring Lucci back in, seeing him write Luffy versus Lucci, seeing Kuma. I think what really started it was the Kuma backstory. Once he saw the glimpse of the backstory, I kind of knew. I'm like, okay, this seems like a backstory I'm going to get invested in. Because my problem with Wano is that they never really caught me. They never caught me, and I was like, I'm locked in, right?
Yeah.
None of the characters, it caught me. I was like, yo, I'm invested. I'm in. So then once Kuma was the main focus, the backstory came in, I was locked into Kuma. Once I was locked into Kuma, I was locked into Bonnie. From that moment on, I'm like, all right, well, now I'm here for the heart of the story. Then the Gorosei pull up, Kizaru pulls up, Luffy versus Kizaru. I'm just like, all right, there's a lot of things in here that I'm attached to, and I want to see how they play out. So for the most part, as we continue on in Egghead, I'm like, all right, I'm liking this. This feels like the One Piece I loved again. And overall, while the ending was a little bit lackluster for me, I think the Gorosei were a huge disappointment. Like that was shocking to me because they were fine, but they just were understated. I guess it was really my own perception of them had changed. That's really what happens. Like my perception of the Gorosei have changed. So then from that, I was like, all right, Egghead was good. We're kind of back on course. Like I'm curious about Elbaf. I was curious because me and Brago had a video we talked about. We just spent like an hour flaming giants, really, how we think they're
because they're ass,
like,
or historically,
they're just trash. And
I think Oda's pulling out the stops with Loki. He's trying to do something with Loki. He's trying to do something. He's heard the slander. He knows he knows how the people feel.
I know he did. Because I look at Loki and I'm like, oh, I'm seeing aura. I'm seeing
Kaido
lore.
It feels like a second attempt at like the Kaido introduction.
Exactly. So I was like, okay, so the Loki introduction is excellent. So I'm like, all right, now I'm interested. But before, I'm making jokes like Hydruden going high diff with Mach Vice, extreme diff, bro. And bro, I saw someone put a whole thread defending Hydruden, taking out scientific measurements of how much how Mach Vice actually weighed, and said Hydruden had the best physical feat we've had in the story, based off his punch with Mach Vice, and I could not believe my eyes.
I know, because I know what you're talking about. I saw that same thread. I think I even saw you like. Maybe I saw you respond to it or something. I might be mixing that up with something, but like I saw that thread. And I'm just like, I hate when anime fans do that, because as soon as I see that, I'm just like, all right, so this person just doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. Because here's the thing. Even if that's true, even if that calculation is true in the real world, you got to realize, man, Oda was not thinking about that. Like, Oda's not sitting down and doing those calculations. He's not using that to scale. That's not, like, he's not fucking pulling out the calculator. He had, like, all he's doing is saying, all right, Hadrudin, he can barely defeat Doflamingo's, like, 50th best officer. That's what I'm establishing here, right? He's not like, oh, Hadrudin's going extreme diff with Machvis, but secretly Hadrudin is like Yonko level because this punch, whereas if you calculate it out, if you do all the math, it's actually like fucking galaxy impact level or something. That's not going through Oda's brain. Oda can't even fucking remember, like I was gonna say something disrespectful.
Yo, secretly, Hadrudin secretly Yonko level.
The world's smartest man in Oda's universe doesn't even remember to explain that the world government is trying to blow up the world. Like, that's the type of writer that, like, he doesn't care about the logic as much in a lot of these situations, right? There's no calculations happening.
Oh my God.
It's great that you pulled out the calculator and calculated, but I guarantee Oda doesn't know about that. I don't know if... God damn it. Let me just respond to a couple things real quick. God damn it. Harley! Hey! Harley! Casey! Hey! Harley! What the hell? What are you doing? Hey!
More of these dogs are crashing out off stream, yo.
Sorry, they're gonna be a little bit loud for a second.
Oh my God.
1 second.
It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Take your time. I just wanted to ask this question in the chat though.
1 second.
Because think about this. Who do you think?
I'm sorry, man. I gotta go
win
get the
in
door
a
for
fight,
1
chat?
second. 1 second. 1 second.
Is it going to be
Hold on.
Hadrudin or King Isabella? And I want you to think about this. King Isabella with prep time. Since Hadrudin, take your time. Since Hadrudin, right? If we're going by the physics level, right, and he punched that 10,000 ton Mach Vice. What is stronger, Hadrudin's punch of Mach Vice or a King punch? And you let me know. Someone's trying to make it a Morj's home. Hopefully not. I want to know the chat's response. You let me know. Because once I heard that argument, I'm like, bro, King Isabella.
Hey, can you hear me? Hello?
It would be a draw. King Punch solos the verse. I don't know, bro. That's what I'm saying. It's like we've got King Punch. So was Hadrudin's punch of Mach Vice stronger than the King Punch?
Oh, the people comparing Hadrudin to the King Punch? Do you think the King Punch is actually supposed to be all that?
I think so. You know what's funny? I say that just because Oda's the one that what's it called? Mentioned that King Punch could be strong enough to like knock out a Yonko or to punch a Yonko. He
like
said
what
that.
people say or whatever. I don't know.
What
Like,
people say.
I think King Punch is clearly portrayed to be a lot stronger than Hadrudin's punch. Because when Hadrudin punched Machvis, nobody was like, oh shit, that's like a Yonko level punch, you know? Like, no readers were like that. It's only now that we learn that Hadrudin is like the prince of this island that some crazy people are like, oh wait, what if we go back in time and like do the math on the Hadrudin punch? You know what I mean? So it's just like, it's not logical. It's just like, none of us thought this back then. It's just now you're trying to go back and upscale Hadrudin for no reason. I bet there's a shit ton of One Piece characters that, like, if you did the physics math on what they did, then it suddenly becomes a lot more impressive. You know what I mean?
Of course. I mean, look at Luffy climbing the mountain in Drum Island.
Yeah, like,
there's no physics to explain that.
Dude, like, you could argue Luffy punching through the rock in Alabasta is like way back when, is like one of the most impressive feats in general if you really want to do the real world logic to it. But like at the time, Oda's just like, oh, I want Luffy to beat Crocodile in a climactic way, so I'm gonna have him do this. That's it. Not much more to it.
Exactly.
Let me respond to a couple things here. Bun for Gun, thanks for the 7. Wano video tomorrow, we've been starving. Unfortunately, tomorrow's video is not the Wano video, but tomorrow's video is a very elaborate video. It's a really fucking good theory. It's a really good Elbaf theory. It's probably the best theory that I've made in I don't know how long. So I'm not trying to just gas up this video for no reason. It is a very high effort video. The Wano video is going to take a bit more time, but the script is good. Script is good. From here on, it's going to be me trying to find a time to record it, and then images, editing, all of that's going to happen outside of my own control. And then the second comment is Anime Dimension. Thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 24 months. For those of you who don't know, you can get your submissions in for the Pirate King podcast. That's my monthly podcast that I do where you guys can submit questions. I'll answer it over the course of an hour and a half. So every question will be answered. Get your submissions in. If you've not yet, as a Pirate King member, just make sure to do that. before I end up recording it in the next couple days. I'd suggest doing it now because I might be recording it tomorrow. So Manifest Joe, thanks for being a parking tier member for 24 months. Morj, man, you keep streaming while my Chiefs are playing. I miss you. Oh, wait, fuck, we missed one. We don't want a Wano analysis video, please. I don't want to be discouraged because Wano is my top 5 arcs of One Piece. Just kidding. Anime Dimension, you know me too well. Don't worry, man. There'll be... I'm trying...
Just
okay,
kidding.
let me tell you guys one thing, which is the Wano first draft was very slanderous. I actually had to dial things back a little bit to be more... to try and take my emotions out of it and be more just like a critical breakdown as much as possible. And I mentioned strengths. I mentioned things that I do think it does well and shit like that. So it's more balanced. It's for everybody, not just Wano haters. Manifest Joe, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 24 months. Morj, man, you keep streaming while my Chiefs are playing. I miss you, bro. You can still watch, man. Hopefully Jay has some thoughts on this too. But which football positions do you think each Straw Hat would play? Oh, Jay, what do you think?
Okay, that's actually not a bad question. I think that Zoro would probably play tight end.
Yes, Zoro's 100% a tight end.
Zoro is a tight end.
Frankie's a center.
Frankie is definitely a center.
Yeah. I got Usopp for quarterback.
Usopp.
Actually, he's got a
quarterback.
Weak arm.
He's got
a weak arm.
He's a kicker. He's a kicker, bro. He's a punter.
No,
not even a kicker.
Sanji's a kicker.
He's a punter.
Sanji's a kicker.
Sanji's the kicker.
Yes.
But Usopp is definitely the punter.
Who's playing QB then?
I'd probably argue.
I think Luffy
I would say Luffy.
Luffy could play QB because he could stretch. Like he could get the.
Yeah.
No, Luffy's got to be wide receiver. Best wide receiver in the world. He will catch anything. He'll catch anything.
Robin.
He can stretch. Oh, Robin's the best wide receiver in the world.
Robin is clearly a wide receiver.
This is this is all you need. You got Luffy at quarterback, Robin at wide receiver. It's actually unbeatable.
Brook at running back. You got Brook at running back for the
bones, bro. He's gonna get fucking turned.
But he's elusive. He's quick.
He can't slip. Yeah. I could see it. I don't know, man. But he's so fragile. You won't need it. They're never gonna run the ball with Luffy. They're never gonna run the ball. They don't need to.
They probably wouldn't run the ball. I mean, it's either that or you can have Brook at quarterback as well. But like, and then because I think you would have Nami as a slot receiver.
I think Nami's cheerleading in this situation. I don't know if she's making it on the field, man. I don't know if that's happening.
I think she's a slot receiver. I don't know, bro. I'm giving them all.
I know you're not mentioning Chopper, but Chopper's actually very useful here because he can transform. Like there's a lot he could do.
Oh, Chopper was gonna be fullback.
Does that work?
They don't even play with fullbacks. They don't even play with fullbacks.
I was like, is that what you're saying?
That's the whole point. That's the whole point. He's just we just mentioned him. I mean, listen, if he wants to go to his like big human form or whatever,
Monster
then he
form.
could just play like an an O lineman, bro, like a left tackle.
Oh yeah. Jinbei could do that too. I think that'd be good for Jinbei too.
And Jinbei would also be actually, I think Jinbei would be a defensive back. Actually, I think Jinbei could get some sacks.
Who's cornerback? I feel like Brook could be good.
No,
I feel
Brook
like
would be a good cornerback. But thinking about
because he's running back, he's just the opposite build of running back. He's just too like bony and skinny. I know he's fast, but I just don't know if he can slip through everybody like that. To be clear, they're all
when I think about it now,
they're gonna wreck any real football team, like for sure. But if we're
of course
make them play some actual, like the kid Pirates in football or something, I got him thinking.
So now that I think about it, Luffy being a free safety makes a lot of sense because of his stretching.
But we need a quarterback's the most valuable. I think we need Luffy at quarter.
Well, I would say Jinbei would probably be the quarterback because how many times is he throwing people? Yes, how many times Jinbei? That's all he's good for now is just throwing. Right. That's what he does. So like at this point, Jinbei would be the quarterback.
I think that's it. I think that's the squad. Hold on, let me just catch the next.
Yeah.
I think that's actually pretty good lineup. This is a question for you, man. This is from Old Faithful. Thanks for being a Yonko team member for 18 months, man. Morj, do you think for both of us, do you think we're still getting a Davy backfight in Elbaf? I've actually low-key changed my mind on that based on the video that's coming out soon. But what do you think?
No. I just don't. I think we need to give up on the idea of Davy. It's not happening again.
Bro, so does that mean that the whole Davy backfight arc just happened for no reason? Like Oda just wrote that shit in and he's like, here's a
Would that surprise you?
Story?
Would that surprise you?
That wouldn't Back in the day, I feel like he was a little tighter with what he kept in. Today, I could imagine him I don't know. It's tricky because that's 20 chapters. I guess, I don't know, if Davy Factfight doesn't come back at all, then that is, like, probably the most filler arc in, like, actual filler arc in One Piece that exists. JWP, thanks for the 10. The 10-ish chapters of post-Wano felt like Oda was a completely different writer than he was in Wano. Brought my hype for the series up to 100%, and it hasn't really died since. So let me ask, like, Jay, when were you most positive about Wano? And, like, at what point did you start feeling certain ways like this wasn't really your arc? And then what did it take, like, what's the full trajectory? What did it take to, because you kind of talked about this, but at what points did you start feeling like your passion was coming back?
Oh, when it was coming back?
No, like from start to finish. When were you most excited for Wano? When did it kind of dip? Because I know it kind of dipped. And then when, because JWP is bringing a post-Wano. So, like, when did it start coming back? Was it post-Wano shit, like with, you know, Cross Guild and stuff like that? Or was it during Egghead more than anything?
I think I was intrigued at the beginning of Wano. Once we got to the Udon prison, I was starting to die down a little bit because Yasue was great. My crash out was Oden versus Kaido. People haven't seen that reaction, but if you go back, I crashed out bad because I was looking forward to Oden versus Wano, Oden versus Kaido for one reason. Kaido had never been hurt before. Never been hurt. So for me, the plot point of Kaido never being hurt was like, okay, so what is Luffy gonna have to learn to hurt Kaido? And there's one man that hurt Kaido, and it was Oden. So I'm like, oh, this Oden versus Kaido fight is going to be the key to Luffy beating Kaido. That's the key. So I'm ready to see reveals. I'm ready to see what Oden had. Like, was it Conqueror's Haki? Does he have a special sword? Like, how does it happen? And you know what we get? He just cuts him. That's it. All he did was just cut him. He just cut Kaido. Kaido screams. He falls down, and he's about to cut Kaido's head off, and he gets knocked out by a gimmick. And that's the end of the fight. And it's called the Hour of Legend.
Oh, I forgot it's called the Hour of Legend. I forgot.
So, bro, you see what I'm saying, bro? So you can imagine my excitement. All this stuff building up. Oh my God, like I'm gonna see some stuff, and I'm just like, bro, I crashed out. Like I literally crashed out. At the end of the chapter, I'm like, that's it. Like that's it. And I escalated, and I ran out of my room because I couldn't take it. I was so, bro. I'm telling you, that was the day. Chapter 970. That was the day.
You remember the chapter number?
I remember the chapter. I remember chapter. I don't remember One Piece chapters well. 970. That was the day. There was no explanation of Ryo, no explanation of Conqueror's Haki, nothing about the sword. It was just nothing. The Hour of Legend was the execution. What was it called then?
There was some hype to it beforehand.
There was a hype to it.
Like,
what was it called?
There was like a whole lead up. I remember in the previous chapter it was like it literally says in the story, don't look away, readers.
What was it called?
Because what's gonna happen, like the narrator says, don't look away, because what's gonna happen is like really amazing or something. And then it was like a really rushed fight.
There was a specific title of it. Sad news, the opening of the great. No, that's episode. Chapter.
We did find out later on that it was advanced Conqueror's Haki and everything that Oden basically used. I do think that.
Yes.
I felt like there were aspects, because I liked Oden's boiling scene. I do feel like Oden's flashback was choppy for me because while I enjoyed the Roger Whitebeard stuff, I felt like Oden needed more time. We needed more time with Oden and the Scabbards, and I felt like that flew back pretty quickly. So I've talked
so
about
it was. So it was called Oden versus Kaido. Chapter about Oden versus Kaido reveals all that. It didn't happen.
Making a quick note.
Granted, it was probably my own fault for having the expectations, but like. Once that happened, I'm just like, okay, my love was at an all-time low. Then, we have some Udam stuff. Udam drags on for. We have Onigashima. It's dragging, and I'm just still like kind of hanging on because I'm like, all right, well, I kind of want to see Luffy fight Kaido, and then at that point, agenda's completely taken over my brain, and now I'm fighting ZKK fans. So like, ZKK
I forgot about that whole. We were both fighting some wars at that point in time.
It was because the One Piece community was at war. It was the raid failing, and it was ZKK. Those are the three. And I'm sorry I had to say it, but that's what it was.
You know, the worst part about the raid failing stuff was that like in the post raid fail era, a lot of people think that I was part of ZKK. And they're like, Morj also came up with ZKK. And I'm like, no, I literally have videos talking about how ZKK. I thought I have a somewhat well-known rant about how ZKK is not gonna happen, and like I have literally videos talking about ZKK is not gonna happen, and then but like I just get lumped in with that as well, and I'm just like once in a while I see random comments. It's like, oh, Morj, he believed the raid would fail, and then somebody else will respond like, yeah, and he came up with ZKK, ridiculous. I'm like,
and
it's just like
right. How did I get what?
Like, I'm not like Satan. I didn't just come up with like every like you can't just pin every bad thing that was going on in the community at the time on me. That's like like and Morj like came up with blah blah. Like I don't put it all on me. That's not all my bad, you know.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So then it got to a point where I'm like, I'm so invested in. I'm not even because I'm so disconnected with the story. I'm more waiting to see if Zoro actually kills Kaido than actually paying attention to the plot of the story. So we're paying attention to that, and then the raid failing, and then I'm like, oh, the rooftop. The rooftop is when I got excited. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. Oh my God, I'm about to see Kid. I'm about to see Killer. I'm about to see Law. And then Houston's Kid, mind you.
Yeah.
Kid is another one. I'm like, oh my God, it's time. With the Udon parallels. Houston's Kid. Conqueror's Hockey quote from Kaido. I'm like, bro, it's time. Kid, it's time. Magneto, right? Magneto. What do we Magneto, bro? I'm telling you, bro. Oh my God. So many crash outs in Wano. So many expectations. It's really, honestly, it's PTSD. And I don't blame people for actually getting so angry when I talk about Wano, because I'm not talking about it. I'm trauma dumping.
Yeah.
I don't analyze Wano. I just trauma dump. And I agree with them in the chat. They hate it because it's like, bro, I'm not adding value.
Yeah.
I'm slandering.
I'm not adding value.
So,
I'm taking away value.
I'm not adding value. I'm taking away value. Especially if you like Wano, you're like, he's just talking shit. So like, with Houston's Kid, it's like, I've beat the dead horse. If you want to know why I hate Kid, just watch my video.
Yeah.
But like, it's like, at that point, I'd been disappointed so many times where I was ready to just be like, okay, let's just get through this and see how it ends.
Yeah.
Right. And I got some good moments in there that had me excited. Right? Sanji
had a good fight in Wano. Arguably his best fight.
Sanji had a good fight. I mean, I think Zoro's Ashura was nice. I think it was short-lived, and I wish he'd used it to I think he wished it. I wish, because it didn't mean anything. Him cutting Kaido didn't do anything afterwards. It's just Kaido acknowledged him, and then we just left it at that. And in a moment, it was good for Zoro. It's good to be like, oh, Zoro got a cut on Kaido, great, and that was it. And like, then there was Gear 5, and Gear 5 was like, okay, this is brand new.
Yeah, that was
everything's great.
That was fresh.
And Gear 5 was great for a couple of chapters, for a while.
Yeah.
And then it started to get a little stale because it felt like we're losing the stakes, or like it seems like the serious fight that we're all in is not that serious. So once that kind of took me out of the immersion, I'm like, all right, so we're back in it. You know, Big Mom, Law, and Kid was good, but it was more good for Law and like Devil Fruit Awakenings, and like understanding like how great Law's Awakening was, and Kid's Awakening wasn't bad.
No, it was bad.
I think
it was really bad.
Okay,
it was really bad.
The way I see it, I think Kid's Awakening should have been a part of his regular toolkit, and then his Awakening should have been, I can magnetize whatever the hell I want. That would be not even magnetize, but my magnetic powers and my magnetic field expands to Wano. So anything that has a magnetic field in Wano, I can affect to a certain degree, depending on what you are.
I think Oda just didn't want to make Kid that strong for whatever reason. Like, but he tried to build Kid up a lot as well, bro. Because like when Kid that's the thing. I swear, when I go back and I read that panel of like Kid first pulling out his weapon, his gun after awakening, like his trump card, and shooting Big Mom. If you go back and look at that panel, literally, it looks like the same thing that Frankie pre-time skip would do, like the same type of move. I'm just like, this is Kid's best move in his arsenal. Like, this is like a fucking billion bounty pirate. This is insane.
A ray gun? I'm like, bro, the ray gun looks cool, but like, you have to understand, it's the magnitude of pirate. Yeah. If there's some fodder pirate bringing out a ray gun, we're gonna be like, oh my God, the fodder pirate with the ray gun. Yeah. But it's used as Kid. I think I said that. I said, tell me the difference between Frankie and Kid.
Bro,
because there isn't one.
It's the same thing. It looks visually the same as a Frankie Coot event pre-time skip. Literally. Like, you could go back and look at the same chapters. It's insane. I don't know what Oda was doing with Kid. If you gave Frankie Kid's fruit, it's the most misused fruit in the world. If you gave Kid Frankie's fruit, or like Frankie Kid's fruit, sorry. If you gave Frankie Kid's fruit,
God.
He would
Frankie
be
would actually,
bro.
He might be the Pirate King. Low key.
He would be broken. He would be actually busted. He would build Pluton. That's what if he was nefarious, right? What he would do is he would build Pluton and then assemble it to be like an armor around himself, and then he would just destroy everybody. Like Frankie with Kid's fruit would be the most powerful character in One Piece. Kid is the dumbest character to have a fruit like that, because that fruit takes like intelligence to some degree or creativity.
Yes.
He has no creativity.
If he had creativity,
if he was like
that's
Luffy,
the thing.
If he was
zero
like Luffy,
creativity,
no creativity,
and that's what,
no intelligence.
And that was my frustration. That was my main frustration. Is the way Oda. It's not that Kid's fruit is bad. It's the way Oda used Kid's fruit as a fighter. It's just disappointing. Like, you're creating a mechanic bull, you're creating a Gundam, and you're doing blunt force damage without hockey. Like, think about that for a second. No blunt force damage.
Blunt force damage.
Without Rio, without hockey? That is so insane to me. So it's like, what are you actually doing to Big Mom and Kaido if you're not using? And Oda's not even writing the characters to claim you're using hockey. So we really don't know if you're using hockey at all.
No.
But Oda can show black armament hockey on Luffy's fist. He can show black armament hockey on Sanji's leg. But we can't get it over the metal of Kid's arm?
Bro, Cracker's Biscuit Soldiers had hockey. So we know in theory you should be able to do it. You remember when we should have all known it was over for Kid? Was when he was on the roof and like Luffy damages Kaido the first time. And Kid's like, you can damage Kaido with hockey? And it was just like, bro, so you haven't been learning. Like, you haven't been out there training or practicing or getting better. You just don't know about this shit. But you think you're supposed to be on the rooftop.
Know.
And the most audacious part about Kid is that, like, he thought he deserved to be on the rooftop, and he even brought a +1. He even brought a +1. It's like, bro, you don't even know how to hurt Kaido. Why are you bringing your fucking first mate to this party? Like, bring Sanji up there or something like that. That would be, like, at least a better shot than fucking Killer. I don't know, man.
Oh, boy.
On that note, real quick, Jolly D. Joestar, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for a month. 90% of the reason the Wano video is long is because of Morj trying to think of good things to say about Wano. That's I will say the refining to make it less aggressive is part of it. Let me just catch up a couple more on these real quick. Animated Adventure, thanks for the 10. Luffy, running back, can do touchdown. Usopp, quarterback, can do pinpoint pass. I just don't think Usopp's got the arm for it, because you're not going to be allowed to use your tools. Robin, receiver. Sanji, kicker. Chopper, Jinbei, Frankie, defenders. Nami, coach. He's scared to play. Brook, long snapper, who helps kicker. Zoro, linebacker. I could see the vision. Sid P, thanks for the 2. Morj Wano analysis, where is it? On its way. Written, but still needs to be like all the actual YouTube video process stuff. Eyes96, thanks for 2. Which theory was the worst, ZKK or... Oh my god, never mind, I can't say this. Alright, we're moving on. JWP...
Wait, is that a spoiler?
No, it's just, it's not okay to say. JWP, thanks for...
okay!
Thanks for the gifted membership. As usual, man, thanks for coming through. Blue Cheese Lucci, say thanks to JWP. Yeah, and let's get the stream likes up to 200 real quick, because we got Jay on at the moment. And Jay's favorite thing is stream. He wants the stream to have likes. That's what he asked before he came on.
There you go. Swear. That's exactly what I wanted. I'm so excited. Yeah. Let's do it.
All right, 1 second. Okay, man. Enough about Wano. We probably bored them to death with Wano.
Yes.
How about... So you felt better with Egghead. How are you feeling right now heading into Elbaf? Do you feel like this is set to be... Like, what are your expectations for Elbaf? Or are you going in, like, with a clean mind, no expectations, just, like, blank slate?
I'm going in with a clean mind just because I enjoyed Wano. And I think with Loki...
Enjoyed Egghead.
No, not Wano, sorry. Okay, Egghead. I enjoyed Egghead enough to be invested in the story. And because we got the while Vegapunk was yapping a lot, there was a lot of good information in there that opened up. He was yapping.
Well, Vegapunk was yapping a lot. There was some good information in there. Yeah.
There was some good information in there. So I'm like, okay, so I want to see how this plays out. And how does Elbaf play into this? Because I believe that I'm not interested in Elbaf for the Giants at all.
No.
Now with Loki, I am. But like when it comes to Elbaf, like the Giants, I don't care about at all. But I care about
Disney.
Loki. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yes, very Disney. So like I'm with it. I'm with it now. I'm with Loki. I'm like, all right, Loki looks great. He has a devil fruit, I'm guessing. Yeah. So like we're at this point where I have a vested interest in Loki, but still that's it, right? Because now you're telling me the king's Hydruden is the son of the king. I'm like, so your son is the one who went extreme diff. Like this is your pride and joy. Like this is the peak of your sonship, right? So like this is because Loki killed his own father, so I'm assuming this is the other. Or did Loki kill King Harold?
Yeah, Loki killed his father, which is also Hadruden's father. So same dad.
Father. Yeah. Okay, so there's a new king that's not related to...
I don't think we have a new king yet, because I think it's like Harold, my understanding is Harold was the dad, and then Hadruden was his first son, and Loki's the second son. And then Loki goes ahead and kills Harold to get the fruit. So Hadruden's just walking around. He's not a king. They didn't make him king or whatever. And that's why he wanted a fruit early on in Dressrosa. He was like, I want a good ass fruit too, probably because his brother ate the legendary fruit. So Hadruden is Loki's brother, as far as I understand, unless like one of them's a bastard or something like that.
Okay, so then in that case, don't care about the Giants at all.
Okay,
nothing about them, but I care about the lore. I care about the lore because Elbaf is. It's got to have some huge connection to the world as well. So I'm assuming there's gonna be a lot of Nika stuff. Mm-hmm. And then Joy Boy we found out about the stuff with Joy Boy going to Elbaf as well. So there's gonna be a lot of Joy Boy, Elbaf, Joy Boy, Sun God stuff. Mm-hmm. Shanks obviously has to have a role in it, so we're gonna get some Shanks content. And then I'm guessing Void Century stuff, right? The Giants are ancient, so I am intrigued by the lore and the world building, but outside of that, I'm kind of just curious. Yeah, curiosity is what they have.
Are you excited to potentially get back to a smaller group of Straw Hats to work with? Like, maybe not. We'll probably get the full crew there soon enough, but like at the very least, in theory, fewer side characters than we had in Wano and in Egghead.
Am I excited?
Like, do you feel like that's where we're going, or is that just like a pipe dream? And do you care about that? I think, like, you know, if you don't care whether we have fewer Straw Hats or more focus on the main crew, that's its own thing. But like, I'm personally excited to see, like, it started with very Straw Hat centric, you know.
I like that it's Straw Hat centric. I got frustrated because they got separated again, but like, I understand why Oda separates them, but people, because at the beginning of it, right, you're getting like classic Straw Hat stuff, right? That's supposed to be classic Straw Hat stuff, and I'm trying to like gauge why I'm not so excited for the classic Straw Hat, like, you know, Luffy, and they're saying there's a dangerous guardian back there. Luffy's already, all of that. I'm like, what is it that I'm missing? Why am I not as excited as I used to be? And I think the reason is because I think I just need something to attach myself to. I'm a character-driven guy. I've never been a plot-driven. That's never really been how I've absorbed mediums in general. So it's really about, is there a character that I really want to pay attention to for the entire arc, or are there a couple of character arcs, things that are really going to pull my interest in? I think one of the reasons why we loved Enies Lobby so much is because of Robin. Robin's character arc was incredible, right? That entire time, that's the Lucci betrayal,
my favorite
right? So like when you think about
storyline,
exactly, and then you go to Marineford, bro, it's Ace, Whitebeard, Garp, Luffy, right? He's trying to say, so it's like you have all these attachments, even Dressrosa. It's Sanji. It's all about Sanji. It's not what we expected, but we still got Sanji's character, right? So that's Whole Cake, Dressrosa.
Law.
What Dofi did was terrible, right? Law. You're attached to him, right? So like I'm naming all of these characters, and then we get to Wano. Is there one person really attached ourselves to? Like Tama for a little bit, but then Tama wasn't the focus, and then Yamato, not really. And then it's just Momonosuke was really the one.
But even he doesn't get that much. 150 chapters, he doesn't get that much like he just gets the most out of the bunch. But it's not like a Momonosuke
out of the bunch
storyline. Yeah.
Exactly. And Momo was good. I out of all the Wano slander I have, I don't have a problem with Momo. The only issue I had was him age, but that's something I can let go. Like it just is what it is at that point. So like with Egghead, Kuma, it's like you were mentioning, Kuma and Bonnie, we're attached. I want to know what happens. How does this full circle? Oda wraps it up perfectly. It's great. Okay. Now at Elbaf, who is it gonna be? It's supposed to be Usopp, but the moment we start thinking about Usopp is the moment we realize, oh my God, Usopp doesn't have.
Yeah, you cut out for a second.
Oh yeah, can you? Yeah. The moment we think about Elbaf, we're thinking, wait a minute, Usopp. Usopp hasn't done anything in 10 years. Usopp hasn't had any character relevancy in 10 years. He learned observation hockey 10 years ago and has not used it since. I'm just like, because now it's like, I'm not excited. Now it's like, Usopp better do something or I'm going to be very upset. And Usopp, Elbaf, it's almost like Wano. It's been built up for so long. So I'm like, now I'm looking at a skeptical eye rather than an excited eye, if that makes sense.
So what you said was actually really, really, you said something that was really, really interesting to me, which was like, I agree that now that I think about it, for the majority of my favorite One Piece arcs, or the arcs that I think are like strongest or most well written, they actually start with a character first that's at the center of the story, and it's like this character's story, and then the rest of the arc is built around them, right? So it's like, you could say like Arlong Park is like Nami's story and the rest of the arc is around Nami. And there's a lot more that happens, but it's mainly Nami's story. Like Alabasta is like Vivi's story and everything else is worked in around her story. Enies Lobby, same thing. Marineford, same thing.
Yep.
Marineford is arguably like Luffy's story first. Like it's always Luffy's story in every arc at the same time. Like he's always like the co-pilot, but like that was the first time he's like running like point, like it's him. Like it's his story. Yeah, and like Dressrosa.
Exactly.
I think Dressrosa was the first One Piece arc, and like that was a major One Piece arc that wasn't that powerful for me overall, but I still liked elements of it. Partly because it was Law's story, but at the same time it's like split between like Kiros, like Rebecca, stuff like that. Like it's a lot of different characters. You could argue it's like who's the main character. And then Wano, I think that like Whole Cake I liked again because it's back to being like Sanji, like a character story, right? And then Wano was just like Dressrosa on steroids, where it's like 50 different characters, and it's like ultimately it's Momonosuke's story, you could say, but it's so many shorter like character pieces thrown in there, and just like a giant jigsaw puzzle of shit, rather than just telling a single clean story and everything else falls into place around it. So that actually just shed a lot of clarity on me, like for me, as to why I felt certain ways. Like if I look at an arc like Punk Hazard, it's like an arc where shit happens, but there's no central character of Punk Hazard like that has a central character story, and that's why it's not that powerful in general, and people don't really think of Punk Hazard as a classic One Piece storyline. That's interesting. So I do think that Elbaf would have to like Usopp's really got to carry a really significant, interesting, dramatic storyline at its center for it to like really reach the heights of certain One Piece arcs from the past, for me at least. So I didn't realize that. That's an interesting way to frame it.
Yeah, I got some good takes from time to time.
No,
some insightful stuff. I'm not saying you. I'm not saying.
Yeah, it was revelatory for itself.
That's it. Yeah. So because that's really, and that's like I think that's just how I absorb mediums. That's why Hunter x Hunter is such a good story, because the plot. Let's be honest, the plot's really not that interesting. Like it's not. Right?
I would say this current arc, plot centric, is like
the plot is excellent.
This is the first time, but that's not usually been the case. Like, but Chimerant, it's not. When I think Chimerant, the first thing I think of, mild spoilers, is the character. You guys won't even know the character's name. The first character I think of is Meruem, right? And then also Gon Killua, right? Like that's an example of like how Hunter x Hunter works. Like the first character I think of is that character, because it's that character-driven storyline from start to finish. It's interesting.
Yes. So like, and it's funny because the more times you bring up that example, the more you're starting to realize like arcs that aren't widely talked about.
Yeah.
You think about Thriller Bark.
No, yeah.
Like there's no real main.
Like, dude, the main thing people praise about Thriller Bark is nothing happened, and that's because that's the one section of the arc that is like a really strong character moment, right? Because aside from that, it's like plot and shit happening, but there's no real like through line for a character that the whole rest of the story is built around. Bro, that's interesting. Exactly. I didn't realize that that's also like subconsciously how I process a lot of what I enjoy about One Piece. This may go into some future videos or something like that in terms of how it.
Yes, and it should be, and that's ironically, if I were ever to make an analysis overall analyzing One Piece story, that would probably be my main point on why I think Oda sacrificed his ability to write excellent characters in Wano because he wrote too many. I think he had too many characters to juggle, too many plot points to juggle, so there wasn't. But Egghead is so focused, he could put all his time into Kuma, all his time into Bonnie. I mean, God, well, look what he did with Kizaru in the small amount of chapters he did. He didn't really do much exposition with Kizaru, but my God, he's the admiral with the most emotional attachment that we've all had. You know, like Kuzan had emotional attachment with Garp, but it was still a little bit, you know, but you feel the pain of Kizaru having to kill his best friend. I mean, the moment with Sakazuki, that was like, wow, that was profound for me. Because you've never seen him that way before.
No.
So like,
that's a different side of Kizaru. And it works because we've seen him for so long, and it's built up to this sort of like breakdown for the character. Sorry, keep going.
No. So you're 100% correct. So like, going to Elbaph, it's like, okay, where is that going to come from? Who is it going to be around, right? And the early players is obviously the Sun God stuff. So we're guessing Luffy, but Luffy's really. He's a static character, so I'm not expecting Luffy to change by any means. Luffy's the type that affects people around him. He doesn't change.
Yeah. So
I'm not gonna get that character stuff from Luffy. I'm not. I just expect that. That's fine. So who is he good? So it's gonna be Loki. It's either Loki or Usopp at this point. Those are the only two candidates we have. So it's either Loki's got to be really good, or Usopp. I don't know how he's gonna do it because I don't have any interest in it. So I don't know how he's gonna do it, but it's really riding on Loki. I think Elbaf is riding on Loki unless Oda brings in another side character or a backstory that's really gonna pull us in. It's riding on Loki or Usopp.
I still strongly I believe in Usopp's potential, just because like I've always felt like, for me at least, a lot of the best One Piece character moments or storylines I can think of are actually Usopp stuff. Like once, to me, like ever since the Straw Hats joined the crew, right? Like once the Straw Hat joins the crew, like usually their opening arc is like their best storyline, right? I think Usopp is the only Straw Hat that Oda's been able to kind of go back to the well a few times and like tell really powerful stories outside, like the whole Ennis Lobby situation, like the entire storyline that happened with him leaving the crew and everything like that. So I still believe in Usopp's potential because he's the most flawed Straw Hat, so there's the most to work with. Like, he still kind of sucks heading into Elbaf. You know what I mean? Like, he's got so much to work on, right? Like you look at someone like Zoro and Sanji or something, like, it's like, what do they really have to work on it? Like, you can always come up with something, but like Usopp's like, yeah, that guy's, he's got some self-improvement still. So I think that if Elbaf is the arc that Oda's been saving the most powerful Usopp storyline for, I still feel there's potential there. The second thing is I think that we could get Shanks' main stuff this arc. And, like, if last arc, like, Egghead did a lot of good shit for side characters, right? Like, side characters like Kizaru, Kuma, like, obviously Kizaru, Kuma, Kobe, Garp, Aokiji. Bro, Shanks is more important to the story than all those characters by a long margin. Like, that's chapter one. Like, Shanks is one of Oda's favorite characters, period. Like, we got a whole fucking movie called Film Red. Whatever storyline Oda's had planned for Shanks in the works for so long, it's going to be one of the best because he's been saving it. He's going to save it for one of his favorite characters. So I've got hopes for that as well.
Absolutely. So Shanks is also another good point because he's already heavily been involved in Elbaf. So for Shanks could 100% probably be the main character focus. Especially if we do an expose, you get an actual backstory, or maybe not even a backstory, but some great information about him that builds his characterization more. That could be great.
No, we got that little buggy flashback that featured Shanks, right? And that was already like that. You remember that? Like the moment where he's like talking to Shanks about how Shanks decided that he doesn't actually want to go after the One Piece or become Pirate King. Right before Buggy announced that, I'm going after the One Piece. Like, that alone adds so much potential to Shanks' backstory. Because everybody, when that chapter came out, everyone was like, holy shit, Buggy's now like a 10 out of 10 character. It's like, bro, that's like a small glimpse into Like, if that makes Buggy a 10 out of 10 character, then once we get Shanks' actual full character story breakdown, that's possibly going to be one of the best in One Piece. Like, he's a fucking Celestial Dragon baby. Like, there's so much that Oda's thinking about there, at least is my hope.
So then, do you subscribe to the Celestial Dragon baby gimmick?
I think there's no. I mean, his dad fucking looks the same as him, right? Like at least at a young age, like it's just the same. I think he's a Celestial Dragon baby for sure.
You're saying Garland looks the same as him?
Not now, but like young Garland, God Valley Garland, it's the same design. Like Oda just drew Shanks, but with a different hairstyle. It's the same dude.
Fascinating. That's fascinating.
Let me ask real quick. Let me cover a couple of supers real quick. Grizzly Adams, thanks for the 10. What makes it worse is all of Kid's action scenes take place alongside or against some of the coolest, most interesting, or creatively applied fruit powers in the series. Yeah, like he's right next to Trafalgar Law, going against Big Mom, who also has a really interesting ability. And then that same arc is Gear 5th, which is maybe One Piece's most creative ability so far. Like that's that's I don't know. It's just a huge
they kind of give him the short end of the stick. They give him a short end of the stick there, unfortunately.
I will say that Oda's writing style is not to focus on very detailed fights at the end of the day. So we're never gonna get something super complex for Kid, but it could be better than that. Akash Bandit, thanks for the 2. Please give Wano first cut as a member video, and I'll join right now. There's no first cut to show, but if you're saying like in the future, like there's no video that exists. The script is good. But if you're saying in the future give a first cut as a member vid, no, because then like here's the reality. Anytime I have a huge video project coming out, like analysis video or whatever, anytime I have a huge video project coming out, it's usually being wrapped and like final draft approved the night before. Like we're working on it down to the wire, me, my editor, and the images guy. So I would have to delay the whole video just to give a first cut to other people. Couple more. Christian Barrazo, thanks for being a Yonko tier member for 18 months, man. Always here for the Wano slander. Thoughts on Blackbeard's Dark Fruit being a mythical Zoan counterpart to Nika? It already isn't Logia-like. Do you have any thoughts on that, man? About Blackbeard? Some people have talked about Blackbeard's Logia, like his Darkness Fruit actually being a Zoan, but I personally don't agree with that. I think he's still yet to get a Zoan. I think it is just what it looks like, a Logia ability. That's a bit different from other Logias.
Well, so what is the question? They're asking.
He asked like if the darkness ability is actually like a Zoan instead of a Logia ability. Same way that Luffy's Rubber Fruit turned out to be a Zoan rather than a Paramecia ability. I still think he's gonna get 3 fruits. So I still think that like he's got the Darkness Fruit, he's got the Guru no Mi. I think he's just gonna get a different mythical Zoan. That's where I'm at right now.
I think he's just gonna. It's a Logia. It's. I can see why he'd say it's not a Logia because it doesn't really operate like one because he can still get hit.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think for the sake of him already having a Paramecia, like I would feel like, no, it's not a Zoan. It doesn't have the characteristics of a Zoan.
Neither did Luffy's just initially, but I don't think it's the same thing.
Well, because then we're adding Luffy's durability. It seems to be more explained.
It's also the stretchiness. So, like Blackbeard, like Luffy had weird aspects that made it seem like it could be Zoan-esque. I don't know. I don't know how you are on time, but it's so like we're getting towards the hour, so no worries if you got to check out in a second or whatever. We also got time. Okay, so we got a couple more questions. Feel free to call it a night whenever you want to call it a night, but we're obviously all happy to have you here for however long, man. Stephen Guy, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 4 months. In theory, the only person to be able to lift the Elbaf sword would be Pizarro if he turned into the giant tree on the island. My goats. All right, so we got another J fan here. Stephen Guy, thanks for being a Pirate King tier member for 4 months. Yeah, just make sure to get your submission in for the Pirate King podcast ideally before tonight, because I'll be recording it maybe tomorrow. I'll see how I am on time. Yeah, Pizarro could probably pick up that sword, but Pizarro sucks, so I feel like he'd just be physically not strong. I don't know.
Pizarro is, yeah.
Kosh Panda, thanks for the 2, says, no, I meant your initial rant version of the Wano video. I see what you're saying, the first cut. No, that's just like a draft that's gotten redone. Like, that doesn't exist anymore. It's a draft that's been refined over and over through time. But, like, as I finished each section, it was originally more ranty And then as I went through and combed and kind of refined, I just changed the language here and there in bits and pieces and cut some slight parts that felt a little bit too long. I would probably release as a Morjcast or something like that. Maybe more of the ranty stuff will make it to the Morjcast. Amr Yasser, thanks a lot. Best fruit for pranking, in my opinion, the clear fruit. I guess, sure. Jay, question for you. What would be the best fruit for doing pranks on people?
The best fruit for doing pranks on people would probably be, I mean, obviously, Shiryu's fruit.
Yeah, that's what they said, the clear fruit, so I think that does make sense. I'm on board.
Yeah.
I'm on board. All right, man, can I ask you this? What characters in One Piece still excite you the most? So, like, if they show up in a chapter, you're like, oh, this is an exciting chapter for me. Because I know that there's some characters that, like, Dragon used to be that until Dragon eventually started being, he made me disappointed every time he started to appear. So at this point, like, who's a character that, like, if you find out it's coming out in the next One Piece chapter, that makes you somewhat excited?
Blackbeard. It's always the answer for me.
All right. So is that your favorite character at this point?
Always. He is. Yes. Blackbeard, Garp, and Sanji have always been my 3 favorite characters. Kuma's up there. It's Blackbeard. Whenever he's on screen, I'm excited.
Kuma's because I know he's, for you now. Kuma's up there for you now.
Kuma went up there. Kuma went up there for so many different reasons. Nice. Story, character. I mean, God, the religious ties. You know me, so like it's just like, all right. There's just like a lot of things about Kuma. Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very positive light. So it's for me, it's Kuma, bro. This guy's like represents everything, real Christian values. Oda understands it. It's like he read the Bible. So it's like, hey man, I'm with it. So
the Bible wasn't just for show. Every time Kuma's carrying it around.
It wasn't just for show, bro. He actually read it. My man, his title was Pastor Kuma. I'm just like, bro, here we are. I was like, here we are. We got it. So I'm like, man.
So are you off the Sanji train to some degree? Like, has Oda done Sanji wrong in your eyes for too long for you to still be like a hardcore Sanji fan? Or does that still like burn within you to some degree? JWP just said Blackbeard is the anti-dragon. He's literally always doing something peak whenever he shows up.
Always!
He's like the opposite.
Always!
Dixon small piss on my balls. Thanks to the 5. I'm curious to know what you guys read Wano's main theme to be. I think there's a couple arguments for different main themes. I'm going to save my main thoughts for the analysis video. I think that there is not a clear defining theme to the arc. I think you could make the case for a few, but I think that it's so poorly thematically constructed that what I personally believe Oda's intent to be the main theme was something that he rushed towards the end. I'm just going to leave it at that. We can leave the question there. But yeah, man, what were you thinking about Sanji?
So to answer... Sanji. So I still like Sanji.
Answer whichever.
I still like Sanji, but I'm not as. When I see Sanji, it's like my love for Sanji decreased.
Yeah.
To a degree where he's no longer all I think about anymore. That's why I think Zoro. I never get into Zoro Sanji debates anymore because it's a waste of.
You just don't have the passion for it anymore. Like, you don't care.
There's no passion. Mm-hmm. Sanji's still good. Like, he does a lot of good stuff, but it's like, bro, he's just not jazz music Sanji. That's it. He's just not that guy anymore. And I'm fine with okay, I've just accepted reality and I've kind of moved on. Like, I'm always gonna be Sanji over Zoro. Oh, Sanji's always gonna be my favorite Straw Hat. Like, that's always gonna be the case. But he's not my favorite character. He's not. My favorite character is Blackbeard and Garp. Those are my 2 favorite characters. They'll always be that way. Garp is now solidified Hall of Fame, top 2 character for me, period. Right? Gone. Done. Blackbeard will be the best villain. Probably is the best villain currently. No, I currently still give it to Crocodile. Crocodile do.
I think Crocodile was the best villain for an arc. I think once we have Blackbeard's arc, then we'll be able to compare a bit better. Because it's like almost.
Oh, absolutely. Because he's not done yet. He's not done yet. So. Oh yeah, that's Sanji. It's sad. I used to be such a Sanji stan.
Yeah, man.
And I still am, but I'm now a Sanji fan. I'm not a Sanji stan no more. Stanhood is gone. It's over. It's over, bro.
Man, I feel bad. I'm sorry, man. That's.
You know what?
That's you were once at the head of the agenda. Like you once really pioneered that.
So that's a lie, and it's a lie because
Sanji making Kizaru make that face, I jumped in joy. I got excited.
Oh, bro,
for the agenda.
That's actually sad. Then that's actually sad because you know what that means is that you still have that deep down inside of you. It's just infrequent in the story that it's giving anything to feed that part of you that like you've forgotten about it. You know what I mean? Like it's not you that's changed. It's the story. It just doesn't give you the Sanji moments that you need to keep feeling like a Sanji stan. It's unfortunate.
And his opponents have been pretty poor. Like in hindsight, Queen was a bad villain. Like he was not a bad villain. It was a bad fight. It was a bad fight. But I think Queen was actually probably the best of the
three.
God, what are they called, dog?
Calamities.
All-Stars or whatever they're called. Yeah, Calamities. There you go. He's the best out of because he just had the most personality. Brago said it hilariously. You know, he can sing, he can dance.
Yeah.
You know, he's got
he's got some stuff.
He's got some quirks to him. He's got some stuff. He's a misogynist and incel. Like that, dude. Sigma. He's saying what is he?
Oh, he's a Sigma incel. All right.
He's a Sigma incel, bro. So it's like you got things with Queen that you can remember. Yeah. I would argue who would you say? Queen or King? Who is more memorable?
I think that Queen stands out as a character and personality more than King, for sure. I think King is remembered more so for the design, because King doesn't have a strong personality at all, right? Like even compared to like if you went back to read like Das Bones, even if though he's like not that much of a personality, he has more of a personality than King. Because Das Bones, it's like okay, this guy's very, he's very stoic, very serious, kind of like a killer mentality, right? King, I don't really know what his overall personality was. It was kind of just like, I'm loyal to Kaido, right? Just has his design, and I think his abilities and his design are what stood out at the end of the day. Whereas Queen, it was the personality and everything more. I do think on the flip side, Queen's abilities just don't stand out for people that much, because I fucking forgot that Queen had the rest of Sanji's family abilities. It's like just something that's thrown in towards the end. So, it depends. Queen's more memorable, I'd say, overall. And bro, Jack was once the most Jack was once the coolest fucking Yon commander out there. Like after Zoe, like people were really hyped about Jack because it was just like, who's this brutal guy that's Oda's building up so much, the first billion berry bounty, and then come Wano, it's like this guy fucking sucks. Loses to Inuarashi. Like there's just nothing there.
Yeah, Jack. I mean, he got a pound in the head from Kaido, bro. He got a pound in the head from Kaido. That's got to count for something, right?
Yeah, it's got to count for something. Yeah, Jack fans could take that to the bank.
Bro.
All right, man.
I don't know, man. I mean, what's up?
No. I was just going to probably 5-10 minutes more and then call it a stream if that's good with you.
Yeah, that's fine. That works for me.
Yeah, you were saying?
No, I think because Kaido got that pat on the head.
Yeah.
From Kaido as well at the rooftop. Yeah. Right. And it's like, oh, you did a good job, Jack, because he was fighting too long, obviously. So like, I think Kaido he showed more respect for Jack than all of the other two, like out of all the three calamities.
Yeah.
Like King was by his side, but like Kaido really is he's the only one that kind of talked to Jack and like had affection for him.
Yeah, we didn't see too much between, like, I don't think we even saw Kaido interact with Queen as far as I can remember throughout the story. Like, again, that stuff's not important, but I do think that Calamities, we could have gotten, I don't know, a bit more time with them or something. Like, I still remember, like, Mr. 1, Mr. 2, they were very vibrant characters, or, like, standout characters from Brokeworks. I don't know. Overall, I feel like the Blackbeard pirates are the most interesting, like, enemy group that we've got going right now, even if I think they're still a bit weak. And then you said the Gorosei you find disappointing. Do you still find them disappointing even after Garling joined? Do you still find them disappointing?
Absolutely. Now, Garland joining even with Garling, a little bit interesting.
Even with Garling?
So Garling joining, it was interesting, but I'm still disappointed.
All right.
I'm still disappointed. And I'm disappointed because the Gorosei, they are this hyped up, and they're this hyped up group. In terms of competency, what I really feared about the Gorosei was their intelligence. Well, perceived intelligence, knowledge of the world, competency, planning ahead, control, right? These are the things that strength was something I didn't even consider with them. But a Gorosei pulling up to me means they're going to, okay, so this is like a very, very serious matter. And I think by the end of Egghead, the Gorosei look panicky, they look frantic, they look unprepared.
Yeah.
They look and then when it comes to their powers, they look lackluster in the sense that it's like a regeneration gimmick. Like that's it. Nosjuro came in, took out a couple of pacifistas, and now he's clashing with Zoro and Sanji. And then God, Saint Marcus, what's his name? Saint Jupiter.
Oh, Jupiter
it's just a
ass.
giant worm.
Jupiter was ass.
He's literally just Shai Halud from Dune 2. And he's just sucking up things and spitting it out with his dentures. And I'm like, okay, so there's that. Saint Marcus is Team Rocket blasting off again and destroying labs and doing nothing and then getting knocked out by Fusen Gear 5 Luffy? I'm like, okay, so we're here now. The one that really took home the medal was Top Man, because Top Man put some crazy Conqueror's Haki, Gear 5, Rio punch. Like, that's not working on.
Yeah.
So Top Man is a force, like a force of nature. Nosjuro is still interesting to me because of the swordsmanship thing. So like I'm cool. I'm curious about that. But Saturn.
No. Saturn was ass.
Saturn, brother. Yeah. Poor performance all the way around. To the way he went out. Like, they're asking legitimate questions about what happened, and instead he's killing vice admirals in front of them. Yeah, that's gonna inspire them to work harder. Kill the guy asking the question everybody wants to know, because we all saw the broadcast, and you kill him. Get Saturn out of my face, bro. Saturn was a disgrace.
You got what he wanted. He's out of your face. You're not gonna see him again. Like, he's got.
Thank God. Like, honestly, thank God Almighty, bro. Because this guy, bro.
Oh, I mean, what a
disgrace, bro.
What I've said about the Gorosei is that Oda had a tricky job, which is that, like, he had to make the Gorosei feel intimidating, but he couldn't have the Straw Hats lose. So it was like, because this wasn't supposed to be an arc where they lose. They're supposed to get away with it, and they're supposed to, like, succeed in a sense, and, like, escape Egghead, keep Vegapunk, whatever. So it's just, like, he's got this impossible task of, like, hyping up and establishing the threat of these new villains. But he's also like, but the villains don't actually pull off anything. Like, they have to, like, fuck up like, they don't succeed, right? So all the way through, it's like the Straw Hats successfully fending them off, like Mars blasting off again, like you said, or like even like with Top Man, right? Luffy couldn't do anything against Top Man, but it all comes down to how that's portrayed in the story. Because if Oda wanted to make Top Man seem very like scary, like a challenge for, like, Luffy's like, oh shit, I can't hurt him. That's scary. That's like a big deal or something like that. Oda could have portrayed it that way. But because it's still supposed to be like an upbeat tone, instead it's just like, oh, we can't do anything to Top Man. Ha ha ha, let's just keep running away. And then it doesn't feel like he's a really intimidating, powerful villain, even though what he's like presenting ability-wise is really formidable. So it's just like even just like Venus Juro and Zoro, like, if Venus Juro is supposed to be a matchup for Zoro down the line, you can have Zoro struggle. Like, you could have Zoro lose. Like, Zoro's probably not as strong as Venus Juro right now, but instead it's portrayed as equal.
Probably not.
So it's like, Oda's choosing to almost, like, he could have just had a moment where it's like, oh shit, Zoro can't beat Venus Juro. Zoro's struggling against Venus Juro. Like, don't have him straight up lose, because that would break the oath that he made back in Baratier. But, like, make it seem like, oh, he's out of his league or out of his depth. But instead it was made to seem somewhat equal. And so when you do that across the board, like Mars, that could probably fuck up some of the weaker Straw Hats, or like even probably any Straw Hat that's not Luffy in a 1v1. But instead it's like, oh, we'll do Gomu Gomu Fusen and then a team attack to like everybody high five and get him out of the way. So it's like how Oda chose to use them did not inspire fear, because they weren't successful against the Straw Hats at all, because they weren't allowed to be successful that arc. So it's just like if you compare like the spread of their introduction, the spread of their introduction is badass. Like, it's terrifying. Like, it's actually just, like, the most serious tone that it seems like Oda's tried to put on paper in a long time. But then what actually comes out of that is pretty much no consequential actions by them that actually hurt the Straw Hats' chances of victory. Jolly D Joestar saying Jay do a Murphy. Thanks for the 2 Jolly D Joestar saying Jay do a Murphy Morj collab stream. I've been cutting down on collab streams in general, but this is stuff that can be discussed later down the line for sure. Let's see about the
Murphy
Morj.
Yeah.
Let's see about
I think Murphy would enjoy talking to this version, the small mini crash out Morj. I think Murphy would enjoy
mini crash out Morj. All right. I also don't know where everybody lands in terms of like what they're, I mean, I guess that's how you talk and you find out, basically. Like, you know, like how positive people feel about certain elements of the story versus others. You know what I mean?
So that's the thing, right? So I'm like you, I don't collab. My collab circle is very small. Like, it's very, very small. Like, I've collabed with Par, I've collabed with you, I've collabed with Recon, I've collabed with Brago, and I've collabed with Murphy. Like, I collabed with O'Hara a long, long time ago, and I've collabed with Cole before, right? But in terms of people that I consistently collab with, the people that I repeat collab with are the people that I feel comfortable with. And it's not because any of those other creators, and not because I don't like them. It's a chemistry thing, right? When we talk, we really don't need a topic. It's easy. We just yap and we go on. I mean, if it were left to us, we could talk about a lot of different things, random and stuff, it wouldn't even be One Piece. Just random things, right? With Murphy's that type of person. You just let her talk and she'll talk. That's it. And she's open. She's open-minded. So like, that's nothing you'd have to worry about. If anything, she's a rat, so she's very curious. Even if she doesn't agree, she wants you to explain it down to the minute detail just for fun. That's the type of person she is. So like, I think you two would be a great collab. I think so.
All right, we could see down the line. I think this is probably good for this one. I thought for those of you who haven't seen, I encourage you to go check out Jay's previous stream on his channel, which I was like, that was our first half of this collab. This is basically a part 2 of the same collab. So we've actually gone through a shit ton of topics today between Hunter x Hunter, One Piece community, upcoming Reverie, Elbaf, Wano. We went through Wano like 5 different times because like we actually ended Jay's stream, if I remember, shitting on Wano. And then we came to this stream and like within like 15 minutes, we were back to the same thing, but just like a different slant on it. So we couldn't really get away from
starting all over again.
It's just the way it is. But you guys know where Jay's channel is at. I'm sure you've seen him plenty of times before. I don't know if I need to shout you out at this point, but I do have the link to the first half of this stream if you guys want to watch that, to his channel at the top of this chat if you guys want to check that out after this. So yeah, everybody, we're going to call it a day there. I hope you guys enjoyed. Everybody say shots in the chat for Jay. Or you don't have to. It's okay. He's going to be okay either way. And yeah, maybe we'll do a collab like this at some point down the line. Although I do try to keep the collab schedule in general pretty tight. Also, Jay's got a regular running podcast where you're going to be doing, collabs like this every week or so? Like, what's your kind of rhythm for that?
The goal is every Monday. Okay. So every Monday we're going to have a guest. So it's really still in the testing phase. We're just trying to get 10 episodes. So once we get there, then we can call it an official podcast. So for now, it's still in the test phase. Yeah, I do a lot. I start a lot of things. So I'd rather get to 10 and be like, all right.
Yeah, sometimes it's okay to do whatever and then see what sticks and what's working. So it's just the way content creation goes. All right, everybody, we're gonna call it a day here. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and yeah, chapter comes back